2023. Las Vegas Aces head coach Becky Hammon was on this network and said the Knicks would not win the title if Jalen Brunson was and is their best player, saying, quote, "If your best player's small, you're not winning." Jalen Brunson, notably 6'2". New York 4 wins away from a title. Reporters checked in with Becky Hammon on that take yesterday.
I speak from experience, and I never, Allen Iverson got MVP, and he lost in the finals, and I think the two best teams are probably in the West, but I'm up for being proven wrong. And that's the other thing, is I think Jalen Brunson's a hell of a player, I'm speaking historically on the NBA. With what I said, I don't know why that's being brought, why everybody's so stuck on that. I said it 2 years ago. I stand by it.
I'm letting you clear the air.
There's no air to be cleared. I said what I said. He proves me wrong. He proves me wrong.
Hey, Becky Hammon would be great on this cast because she doubles down with her take. But Stephen A., here's the fact. Are we just Jalen Brunson 6'2"? He has not won a championship yet. You think about Isaiah Thomas, 6'1", won 2 titles with the Detroit Pistons.
If that.
Steph Curry, 6'2", won 4 titles. You have to be spectacular if you're on the smaller side to do that. But does she have a point about Brunson and small guards?
Well, listen, I think that she certainly had a point when she said what she said because it was proven right thus far. The fact is the New York Knicks haven't won a championship yet. And the reality is in order for them to do so, they're going to either have to go through a 7'5" alien or a reigning 2-time league MVP who's the star point guard for the opposition, who's the reigning defending NBA champions that happens to be 6'7". And so we're going to look at it from that standpoint and we're going to judge accordingly. Becky Hammon, before we go any further, let me remind people of who you're listening to. You're listening to a woman that has coached in the WNBA for 5 years. She's won 3 titles. 3 titles in 5 years as a head coach. Oh, by the way, she coached the men in the Summer League for San Antonio. You remember that, Doggy and Wilbon. And she led them to a Summer League championship. The woman could coach. I've been on the record saying, Courtney, on several occasions, if men can coach in the WNBA, there should be a woman coaching in the NBA. And if you told me that a woman was coaching in the NBA, my number one choice would be Becky Hammon. That's how phenomenal she is. So let's get this out of the way. We're listening to a woman that is highly credentialed to say what the hell she wants to say about basketball, okay, because she's more qualified than most. Let's get that out the way. Now, when we look at Brunson, let's also understand what has transpired. Yes, he's the Knicks' best player. Yes, he's the Knicks' star. But she was talking about a Jalen Brunson that had the ball in his hands, running the offense, and everything came through him under Tom Thibodeau. Under Mike Brown, particularly once they went down 2-1 to the Atlanta Hawks, all of a sudden you saw a shift. And you saw Karl Anthony Towns being the basically point forward. That's what he was doing, or point center rather, essentially being a facilitator and being actively more involved. It got more guys movement. It created space. It created more movement. And it's let loose OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Jalen Brunson, not to mention Landry Shamet coming off the bench. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, the Jalen Brunson that she was talking about in terms of what the Knicks were doing and how they were utilizing him was a tad bit different than what we're seeing right now. In the end, Isaiah Thomas led the Detroit Pistons to back-to-back titles. Allen Iverson led the Philadelphia 76ers to a final appearance, and the only thing that prevented him from being a champion was Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. Shaquille in his prime, by the way, and Kobe ascending. Okay, so we look at it from that standpoint, and we just have to recognize the fact that you're a small guard, you can win, but the odds are significantly stacked against you. We all know that when you're playing in a land of giants. Steph Curry is 6'3". He's 6'3", okay? But he happens to be the greatest shooter God ever created. And the brother can pull up from 20 and 30 and 40, and if you asked him, 250. That's how much of a marksman extraordinaire he is. But it takes something that special for the miniature players amongst the NBA fraternity to pull that off. And that's essentially a fact.
Well, Becky was speaking historically, and she's right to this moment. And Jalen Brunson there's 2. Yeah. There's Isaiah Thomas, who I've been watching and following Isaiah Thomas play since he was 13 or 14 years old in Chicago. Isaiah, if I had to go over under on Isaiah's height right now, I'm gonna take the under on 6'1". okay? And yet he was the toughest small player, the greatest small guard, the greatest small player ever, and the toughest. The shots that Isaiah took playing the way he played for all those years, it's amazing. And he was the best player on a two-time championship team. Steph Curry at 6'3", you're right, Stephen A., 6'3", fully bigger player. Steph Curry was the best player on those Golden State teams because he won before Kevin Durant got there and he won after Kevin Durant left. So we don't want to get into that. Steph Curry is the best player in the history of the Golden State Warriors. I don't care who won the MVP of those finals. So those are the exceptions. Cousy didn't win without Russell. You have Oscar didn't win without, and Oscar wasn't small at 6'4", 6'5", without Kareem. So those two guys, Isaiah and Steph, Becky Hammon is right. God knows Allen Iverson was a transcendent talent. Wasn't able to win, right? Wasn't able to put his imprint on the game like, say, Kobe was, who was, a full 5 inches taller. But she's right. But I love this because it forces people to examine something other than what's going on today.
Yeah, I think Becky's right, too, and I give her credit for not backing down because, let's face it, this next round, this is the deep end of the pool now for the Knicks. We'll get to this in a little while, I'm sure. We'll let Steve fight you off on it. The Oklahoma City Thunder are not the Atlanta Hawks, all right? So let's put all this.
You just watch your tongue.
Or Cleveland.
Just watch your tongue.
I'm getting sick of the
Watch your tongue.
I'm getting sick of the Knicks now. The idea that the Knicks freaking.
You always get sick of New York stuff. Always.
Yeah, we're making a big deal that they beat Cleveland. That doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
But, and one thing about Isaiah, to be fair, that was a great team.
It was. It was.
Donaldson, Lambeer, Sally, Rodman, Dumars, and Vinnie Johnson.
They were great.
Not to mention Chuck Daly. That's a great basketball team. He was the best player.
He was the best player. He was.
Best player.
Great.
All right, let's say a few things that need to be important. Okay, number one, Kobe Bryant had Shaq. Once Shaq departed, Kobe Bryant, if you remember when he came on my radio show, Wilbon, Dougie, said that he'd rather play on Pluto than stay with the Lakers because he was so disgusted with the absence of help they got him. And then they went out and got Pau Gasol. And you paired them with Bynum, and that's how you won 2 or 3. That's how you won back-to-back titles in 2009, 2010. You beat Orlando, you beat Boston. And by the way, you might not have beaten Boston if Kendrick Perkins hadn't been hurt because that was a big body to throw on you that you needed that stuff. So we got to remember that, right? So that's number one, okay? We got to look at that. We got to look at the fact that Jordan had Pippen. We got to look at the fact that Isaiah had Dumars and Lambeer and Vinnie the Microwave Johnson coming off the bench, and a James Edwards as a reserve, and a Dennis Rodman as a forward, and a John Sally, and a Rick Mahorn. We got to remember all of that. We can't forget that, okay? Let me throw this out because Wilbon, I've tried to educate Doggy about this on several occasions because we all know how truculent he can be from time to time when it comes to judging history. He got his Kouzies and Havliceks and all of these other people that he wanted. Don't let me not forget George Mikan. We can't forget him. We can't forget George Mikan, right?
Don't forget Chicago's own George Mikan. Don't you dare.
I would say, and I'm saying I'm giving respect, but Doggy just takes it to another level. I've often told Doggy this, like we saw the Phoenix Suns get to the finals. We saw them succumb to Giannis dropping 50 in a closeout game 6. Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards in NBA history.
Yes, he is.
That is undeniable.
Yep.
Let me rhetorically, yes, he is, Doggy. Yes, he is. Talk about a quintessential playmaker, a facilitator, as Eddie Johnson for NBA Radio would talk to you about. See, I look at Steph Curry, even though he's a point guard, he's basically a shooter, etc. But I give him credit because the impact, and that's a debate for another day, the impact on the game, on the opposition. Was it more Magic or more Steph Curry because of Steph Curry's ability to shoot? And now you had to have your head on a swivel, and what a nightmarish individual he was, Wilbon, in that regard. He wasn't a quintessential point guard, but because of his shooting prowess, he could cause havoc. Magic obviously is a quintessential point guard, a pass-first facilitator, that kind of thing. Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards in NBA history. Why do I bring up that name? Because he never won a title.
Yep.
What if Chris Paul was 6'7"? Think about that.
What if David Stern had allowed that trade to go through where Chris Paul plays with Kobe Bryant? He wouldn't be ringless.
That's right.
He would have a ring, and he's 6 feet tall. And by the way, all defense forever.
I got you. But 6 feet, a 6'7" Chris Paul. Oh, CP3 at 6'6", 6'7". How about this one, doggy? I just want to sit down because I almost catch a heart attack thinking about this. What if Allen Iverson was 6'6", 6'7"? Oh, my Lord. Could you imagine? So, again, the height does play a factor. You're limited in what you can do. There's a level of assistance that you need, but there's also an elevated level of appreciation you should have for somebody that's in that land of giants and finds a way to be a giant themselves.
Because she had
That's
mentioned
what we're talking about here.
When she said that on ESPN, she said that they didn't have a 1A dude. That was